Here I can talk about our evolution because we've spent a year and a half. We came out of stealth in June this year, right? So we spent a year and a half going through an evolution process of how we would do this. So in the beginning, we would just land up at a client, thank God to them, and say, "What are your problems? Tell us your problems, and this is our AI, and we'll figure out a way to solve this for you." That was the initial pitch that we were, and obviously people couldn't articulate their problems, or they didn't have the time to articulate their problems, right? So it's like, you know, this is a great product, but when it came to use case, they were like, I don't know what use case this could be used for. But we did find people who did articulate those use cases. And that's why we've spent about a couple of years building that expertise layer to be able to have all the industry data and information required to solve those problems. So today, that evolution has got us to a place where we have defined very clearly which business functions we are building a playbook for. So even though we are custom built, we've done a huge amount of work in quote unquote productizing it. So today, as a company, you can see the demo, for example, and you can say, okay, great, I've seen the demo. Choose the business function that you want this to be for, and you can choose it from a drop down of 8 or 9 that we've sort of built it already for. And when they choose the business function, it automatically populates at the back end all the different metrics that are important for that business function, all the data sources it prompts all the data sources that are required to give you insights on those particular metrics and actions to be taken on those metrics. So all they need to do is say, okay, do I have this data source? Where is it? Where is this data source, etc. And then they can choose from a variety of output formats. So they can choose either to get a Q&A format. They can choose then if they want to get an early warning signal, they can choose a root cause analysis. We've got a bunch of them that we've spoken to clients for and what they really want, what they would really like in terms of decision making. And they can choose that. So now we've productized it to the extent that in the 28 days, for example, that we work with you, we are only working on making sure that the data is in a good place. And this is literally, I mean, I'm hoping that we build agentic systems that take care of this in the future as well. But currently, the problem is that we can work with unstructured data, but we can't work with inaccurate data. And people have inaccurate data. Their nomenclatures are different. Their databases sometimes have brands have differently in different places. So there are lots of bad habits that have crept in that makes the data unusable for any AI. And that 28 days is essentially a way in which we've perfected the art of saying things that cannot be done by AI, that can only be done manually today, how can we do it the fastest? And I think we've gotten to a place where we can do it really fast because we've done it for so many clients. So we know exactly, you've chosen the metrics, you've chosen the business function. So we know the metrics, we know the input data sources required for that. We know how they're connected to each other. So our AI is already throwing up, this is inconsistent, this is inconsistent. Please correct these. And then we sit with them, with their team to make a glossary of all of these things. The things that cannot be done by AI are what can have to be done by 28 days. But it's also important because if this barrier wasn't there, we probably wouldn't exist. It would be very easy to adopt something very centrally, right? A large big tech company could easily do that. But because this barrier exists, and we've sort of built an expertise to make sure, both from a product side and from a process side, that this is done in 28 days, we can deliver something in a month's time that an Accenture or a Deloitte would take 9 months at the very minimum. And you should remember that we don't charge on a service model. We charge on a product basis. So we do not charge on billable hours, which is a big disruption to any of these businesses that do custom building, because all customizations are charged on billable hours. And that means that they have a vested interest to drag it along, which is why you have these 9 month